Good afternoon, hello, and welcome to Let's Talk Marketing. My name is Amanda Delaney and I'm a marketing mentor. So, this show is about bringing you some fantastic entrepreneurs and talking about marketing. Marketing, as in getting your business out there to the world, getting your message out there. What is it that you have to say? What is it that you want to portray to your audience? And how is your audience going to find out about what it is that you do and how you can help them? So my guest today is the fabulous Toni Walsh. I'm going to bring her in now and ask her to share her story. Hi, Toni.
Hey guys, how are we?
Brilliant,
Thanks for
brilliant.
having me.
Thanks for joining me today. And I know, how long have you been in business, Toni?
In total 7 years.
7 years. So
In total
before
seven
that,
years.
and what is your business for the viewers?
So now I'm a behavior change transformation coach. So
Okay.
basically what I do is that has come off the back of being a PT. And I realized that there was so much more to helping people than reps and sets in a gym and all that kind of stuff. It was the in between, what was going on and happening in between. So I got stuck into the behavior change. So that's how I do it now. I do it through behavior change. So it's coaching clients
So
around their behavior.
that in itself is fantastic. You know, I'm always saying your passion will get you started, but then you go on a journey. So you were in employment. So take us back a little bit, because many of my audience will be new to business, or maybe they are still in employment, working their business part-time. And you know, that can be a very daunting place. So
Yeah.
you came from working full-time for someone else. And
Yep.
how did it come about that you wanted to have your own business, or did you plan it, or did it just happen? Tell us your story.
It's a bit of a mad one. My background is retail management, and I was in retail management for probably over 16, 17 years. Loved it for a long, long time. And I would have been like a troubleshooter. I'd go into stores that were in trouble, that were closing down, lots of issues with stock and staff and everything. It was really intense towards the end. And I got to the point where I just wasn't vibing with it anymore. There was a little light had gone out. And I have to love what I do.
Yeah.
I have to be excited about it. I can't fake stuff like that. It's just not something I'm good at. It's all over my face, and it was actually starting to get to me. And these little things were coming into my head, and I was thinking, oh, look, sometimes you talk yourself in and out of things, or you might have a chat with someone and say, Asher, look, everyone hates their job at some point. Asher, look, haven't you got a job? Isn't it? Well, just don't be worrying about it. Sure,
You
everyone goes through
justify
that.
your misery.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, everyone goes through that. So, but it wasn't going away. Like, it was not going away. And it got to the point where I remember driving, I could still remember driving to work on the M50 one day. And I remember thinking, is this it? Because if this is it now, you may beam me up now. I have to make a choice here of it's me or just keep going as I am. So I kind of started the cogs moving in my head, and I started putting feelers out, and my parents were totally against it. My
Yeah.
dad was nearly on the conniption. It was like, oh, who gives up their job in the middle of a recession? Jesus, Um, and I then stopped talking about it. I put it to the back of my brain. Then it still come forward again. And I just made the decision. I thought, you know what? There's only me that can do this. So what I did was I put a plan together in my head. I started to pay off any debts that I had, my credit card, my car, what I actually needed, so that I'd make myself so sufficient that when I did do it, I had
Yeah.
no stress and drama. So I handed in my notice. My area manager nearly had a fit, and she said, Toni, do you need to think about this? I said, no, I've spent 2 years thinking about it. Thanks very much.
Yeah. Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is happening. This is happening. Um, and I finished up on Christmas Eve, 2011.
And had you trained as a personal trainer at this stage?
No, no, I had no job, nothing. All I knew was I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
I
Wow.
can't, I can't. It was actually starting to get in on me mentally,
Yeah.
and it was changing me, and I didn't like that. It was actually changing me as a person. It was, as I said, it was like a light had gone out. So I thought, you have two choices here now, Mrs. You can put your head in the sand, or you can be brave, put a plan in place, and get stuck in. So I remember that day walking out the door. I remember it because I worked in the rag trade for so long. I'd never had a Christmas Eve off.
Yeah,
It
I
was
know.
like it was like
Yeah.
mayhem behind me, and I couldn't have given two hoots. I was swanning out the door. See us.
No.
But the relief. Oh my God.
But going into
Um,
personal training, very different from the business that you were in, which is the retail business.
it is, and I suppose I've missed a step before that. What I had trained throughout my time in the rag trade, I had trained. There was obviously something clearly in the back of my head, because I trained as a sports massage therapist over the years. I put myself through college part-time while I worked in Galway. So there was clearly something in the back of my head. The cogs were turning, and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't even realize it as a backup. So that's what I set up in the beginning. And
Okay.
then what happened was I worked as a sports massage therapist over in Rathfarnham, and I had the clinic there for years. And what was happening was I was referring clients to personal trainers, and dare I say it, they were making things worse, some. And it was a bit of mayhem. And I was like, why don't I just do this myself? I have such a background with the body. I know the client. So
It's a
it felt like
lovely
a
add-on,
natural. Yeah,
an addition, and it complements what
yeah,
you're doing.
yeah.
So at that time, brand new, how did you market your business? So how did you get the world to know what you were doing?
I started to do a lot of networking, and I joined some different networking groups. I just kind of put myself out there.
Yeah, yeah.
Everything and anything I'd go to, and I'd speak to two flies going up a wall, inquisitive and just finding out what was going on. And I suppose Facebook was my main. I remember my Facebook page, and I remember still the feeling of like, oh my God, hitting that, thinking like millions of people were going to be looking at me, and they're not. But you feel,
Yeah, you
what,
feel
oh God,
like everybody, all eyes are on
yeah,
you.
oh my God, what if I say something wrong? Exactly. How disappointed was I when I logged back on and there was one like? So Facebook was my main, and networking. And it was the main thing I thought about it all was I thought, yeah, I know my business, and I know I was only scratching the surface of how to actually get it out there.
There's a difference, and I think this is when people get to that crossroad. There's a difference in knowing your own skill, your knowledge, your expertise, and then understanding marketing
Yeah,
and connecting the two.
yeah,
That's the link, that's the bridge that
yeah,
ties the two together.
yeah.
So
Definitely. You have to be able to communicate with the person where they're at. Because I think what happens sometimes is we get all excited because we know our industry, and we get very excited about what we've learned, and we want everyone to learn it, but we're talking at them in our lingo.
I love that you said that. That's a pet hate of mine. You
Yeah.
need to keep
And
it
they haven't a
simple.
clue. It's gone over their head.
Yeah, yeah.
It's gone. Like,
A confused mind will do nothing. They'll just
no,
go to the next person who
it
may not
just
be
keeps
good to
swiping.
a
Yeah.
clear message.
Keep scrolling. Keep scrolling. It won't stop them and to us, it's a brilliant post.
Yeah.
I've put posts out and gone, geez, that's really good now. It's going to get a lot of traction on that. Nada. Nothing.
Yeah.
And when I've gone back and looked at it, I haven't spoke to them.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing I learned was kind of remove yourself from and look at it from who is the person that you're trying to speak to? What are their pain points? What can I do to help? How can I fix the problem?
Yeah.
And talk to the problem, not throw facts at them, because it just confuses the issue, as you said,
Yeah. They're not there. I always say this: people are there, they're there looking for a solution.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily want the how to fix it all.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
give them that when they come to you, but in your marketing and in your messaging, you're speaking to the problem or to the want.
Yeah.
Forget about how you're going to fix it.
Yeah.
That's not the message in your marketing.
Yeah.
And we picked now this. I always use this as an example. If I want to lose weight, the last thing, and I've done this, is look at all the different ways to lose weight. The how-tos confuses
Yeah.
people. An overwhelmed mind will do nothing.
Yeah.
I'm totally confused now. I'll just stay where I am. I'll survive here.
Yeah.
And that's
totally.
what a lot of people do in their marketing. They give them the whole shooting match, everything.
Yeah. And it's almost nearly like you're making it about you. If you're coming at it from that angle, you're making it all about you.
Yeah.
It's all, look at what I know, look at all the information I know, not this is how I can serve you.
There is ways, there is ways to show that you're an authority.
Totally.
In other ways, in their language, so that they can see it. And that's the power of story.
Exactly. Giving examples, case studies of how you helped Mary, Joanne, Anne, how you helped them and what the knock-on effect of that was. That'll speak to the person.
Yeah.
But if you start lecturing somebody with facts and figures, most people, it just goes over their head.
Yeah. I love Jerry Duffy calls that, you can go in deep end or shallow end. If you go in all deep end with your language and your lingo, and it's like throwing someone in the deep end of the swimming pool. Stay shallow, stay with what they know, stay with what's real to them, what they see in front of them, or what they see in their vision for where they want to go. We will buy for what we want, not necessarily what we need. I say tell them what they want, then give your clients what they need to help them. So you transitioned that business from listening to your clients. You transitioned from offering a massage to offering them PT to now, over those years, what did you see? And this is another thing about your marketing. Your ears and your eyes must be open all the time. Open to learning about your clients' needs, wants, and what's really under the surface of the problem that they're presenting. And I love that about you, Tony. So last year, and over the last, you never stop learning. I love that about your drive. So what did your audience, what did you see, and how did you go about changing that to really ensure that you were giving your clients what it is that they need and they want?
So I suppose when I had worked with you before, I had done my research questions, and that was invaluable.
I still remember your aha moments when you did that.
Unreal. It was unreal. It was absolutely, it was the best. I think I took 10 minutes with each of them, 5 of them. And I had sent the questions already to them so they could have a little think about it, and we got on the phone, and then I started using that in my marketing. But the main thing was I listened to what they were saying.
Yeah, you didn't do it to tick a box. I hate when I see, I know who my ideal client is. I've done my client research. I've ticked that box.
No.
Oh, no. It's bigger. It's deeper than that.
Yeah. And true listening is not waiting for the person to finish what they're saying and then you going in with what you want to say. It's creating a pause, it's silence, and it's listening to what they're saying. And what was happening for me was, in the gym, we were getting the results, they were loving it, but there was something, I could sense there was something in between. And when we started to talk about it and kind of flesh it out, it was like, well, when I'm in a routine and I know I'm coming to you, I'm really good. But then the weekend comes and my routine goes off, or so-and-so calls over and they've got a cake, and then I'm beating myself up because I've had a slice of cake or I've had a few glasses of wine. And it was nearly like they were using exercise as a punishment. So that they could, and a lot of people do that, so that they can eat more. Whereas I thought, you know what, there has to be a way around this, that why can't we have a healthy relationship with food and exercise, that it nourishes our body mentally and physically, so you don't have to give up all the nice stuff and have negative connotations towards good food, bad food. To me, there's no good or bad food. It's just food. It's the relationship that you have with it. So I kind of started into a bit of a quest on just nosing around on Facebook, and I trained with Elite, and they always did a live at 11 on a Friday. And this guy came on, and I just liked the kind of way he was talking and the things he had to say, and it was all around behavior change. And I just started kind of watching what he was doing, and it just sat with me.
I love the fact, and just pause here for a second. I love the fact that you've said that, because as a business owner, I was asked this by a mentor many years ago. It's always good. What Tony said is, she saw a guy, she heard him, she liked what he had to say, and she followed him for a while, just making sure that he was in tune and that he actually had, could solve the problem that she had and give her the results she was looking for to help her clients. If your process isn't including that in your marketing, you have to realize that, many people think that they put out something once that everybody hears it. We said that at the start. Oh, I'll just say it on Facebook, everybody's watching. No, they're not. And if somebody does come into your world and to check you out, and they like what you've heard the first time, be pretty sure they may not be liking, they may not be commenting, but the invisible people, they're watching to suss you out. So thank you for bringing up that. That's a brilliant point.
Yeah.
So go on anyway. You were watching this guy, you were following him to make sure he was who he said
Just
he was.
that it wasn't a fluke, and I wasn't kind of jumping on the bandwagon or something and getting overexcited, because I would have been good at that, getting excited about things and wailing in and then realizing, what have I done? So followed him, made contact with him, joined a free group, I think I did a week kind of challenge with him, and I tried some of the things that he was suggesting, and they worked.
You got
And I was like,
you got the wins.
Yeah. And I was like, right, okay, there's something to this here now. So I ended up starting to work with him, and I went through level 1, did really well on that. Went through level 2, did really well on that. I'm just finishing elite, which is level 3, and I'm now working for them as well as a coach. They've brought me on as a coach to coach Fit Pros as well through their program.
Amazing.
Alongside my own job. So it's sometimes you have to slow down to go forward and pause. And that can be scary. That can be really, really scary. But if you're bouncing from one thing to the other and not giving things a chance, you don't know what's working or what's not working.
Yeah, exactly. The farmer doesn't go into the field today, plunk down all the seeds, put all that work in, and then go and pick them all back up tomorrow because they haven't grown yet. Yeah. Things take time. You know, you need to be sown. But as I've said before, as a business owner and as a marketeer, because that's what you need to be, you need to be sowing and harvesting and finding that balance with your strategies that you can be sowing at the same time you're harvesting. I see a lot of people, they put out the seeds, people buy from them, and then they forget to sow more seeds for new people. And in 90 days' time, your business has gone quiet again.
Yeah.
So what has been your biggest challenge in your marketing side of your business? Because that's what we're talking about. Let's talk marketing. So in your marketing.
In marketing, I suppose it was firstly I was deciding on my niche. And speaking to them, getting nearly a PhD and speaking to my client.
Takes time.
And it takes time. It's a lot easier. It's not as easy as people think.
Yeah.
And I was one of them. I thought in the beginning, like, I know my stuff, and I know I do know my stuff. But I have to speak to the person that I'm trying to get to first to figure out what the words are that they use, what's going on in their life, and how can I help them.
Yeah.
Because if you try and speak to everyone,
you speak to no one.
You speak to no one. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
No, and most people when they start their business, and I did that. You know, you think, oh, well, I can help this body, that, and we want to help everybody.
Yeah.
And then we wonder why we're not getting the results. We're not signing people up.
Yeah, because you're missing Joe, who is a busy executive. He's flat out. He's working 16, 17 hours a day. He barely has time to spend with his family. He's not interested in a specific post you put out, but then the person that's not interested in that one, he'll be interested in it. So you have to be brave and follow the way I look at it is, in 5 years' time, who do I want to be working with? Who will I be happy? Who can I visualize me, whether it's speaking to them, doing meditation, whatever. Who are the people sitting in the room looking back at me?
Who am I jumping out of bed for?
Yeah.
Who makes me light up, feel fulfilled? You know, sometimes it's easier to write the list of who you don't want to work with.
Yeah.
And then work from there.
You can reverse engineer it, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And that,
or if you're brand new, go and try a couple of different niches to see who you don't want to work with. Because you'll pretty soon, we've just had a lady come through the academy, and it took her a whole 3 months, 90 days, going through this. Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. And right at the end of the 90 days, she said, I've got it. Now she's beaming in our marketing. Here I am. This is what I do.
Yeah.
It's worth the time, the energy, the effort, the money, everything that you throw at this. If you get that right, everything else becomes easier. I'm not saying easy. It's not easy, but easier.
Yeah. It's like there's many moving parts to it all. And it's trying to get everything to line up. And when one piece is ever so slightly out, it feels like the world is falling apart and it's, oh my God, it's not working, and the dramatics and but it could just, if you're swapping and changing and flitting from one thing to the other, you've no way of knowing which piece to fix. So you have to be brave. You have to sit in it and say, right, okay, let's give this a bit of time and space to see, well, is that working? And track it, track the data.
The data doesn't lie.
Yeah, the numbers don't lie. Track the data.
I've been on calls where, clients have burst into tears, in a group call where they're all kind of calling out their ideal client. They've just worked on it. And some of them are so passionate. And then I see someone else going, I don't have this. I'm not feeling what I'm hearing. Because what I love about it is once we get this information, if you just write it down and tick it on a box, it doesn't really connect when you say it out loud. Yeah. When you hear other people and you see that real solid connection that they have with that ideal client, that's when I've seen light bulbs go, oh, I need to go back to work. I need to go back to the drawing board. You do whatever it takes until you feel that I've got this ideal client.
There has to be a fire in your belly. There has to be some sort of a fire, a want and a drive to kind of, and you get a buzz out of helping those people.
Oh, absolutely. I used to be in my other businesses where you'd make arrangements, or even when I had my nail salon, they would ring that morning for an appointment an hour beforehand and they wouldn't turn up. I decided very early on when I was really defining my client, I don't want to work with people who are not good communicators, who just can't be arsed, because they can't be arsed, I can't be arsed, everybody else is frustrated. Yeah. So really define who it is that you want to work with and what values and principles you don't want to work with.
And you're right. You're so right with the values. That you have to, and you have to set your boundaries.
Yes.
But in order for you to do that, you have to know what your values are.
Yeah.
So there's an awful lot of self-development. An awful huge amount of self-development that goes into it all, because then sometimes you find out, well, I don't know. And if you don't know what you don't know, which is frustrating.
You're asleep. You're not even aware.
You're like, what? But you'll find it's about being brave and just showing up, consistency, showing up, keep, especially on the crappy days. Can't stress that enough, especially on the crappy days that you feel really demotivated and you feel very kind of vulnerable. They're the days that you need to show up. Do the bare minimum, tread water, but show up.
The way I always explain that is, if you opened up a traditional shop in the high street, okay, and that's your office or whatever it is that contains your business. And if you expect to open that door today because I'm in great form, and tomorrow, I'm having a bad day, I'm not in the mood going in there, your business will not grow. It will be like, she's there today. Consistency. If you decide to show up 3 days a week, show up those 3 days a week. Like Tony just said, and I love that you've said this, you were watching that guy. That guy was giving out clear instructions. I'll be on this. You can find me here. Now, you imagine that you're going to say, oh, well, I'm going to be here, but I'm not going to show up. It's always your turn to go first. Your digital space is your doors to your shop. It's your brochure. It's you they're buying. And it doesn't have to be. It can be pre-recorded. It can be scheduled posts. But when I sit down to batch cook my content, I am speaking to my ideal client. So that the message is on point and it's consistently to that person. So the biggest challenge, figuring out who your ideal client is. Okay. Your top tip. I'm just going to pop up. BB has left a comment. Interesting point about listening. So many people have decided on their replay or on their reply before you've even finished talking. Absolutely. Be open. Be open. So great tips and reminders covered. Thanks, Mary. This was earlier on. The best move you made, I imagine, Tony. Invest energy in work you love always. We spend so much time in our work. We absolutely do. You're going to take time away from your family, people you love, doing stuff that you love. You want to make sure you're loving it.
And it's also important as well to say about getting a work-life balance, because nobody on their deathbed said, I wish I worked more. Nobody. I don't care who they are. No, not one person on this earth is ever going to turn around and go, do you know what? I wish I worked harder.
Yeah.
They
won't. So we're going to finish up on this. Your top tip. What has really been, the thing that has really turned your marketing on its head?
I think for me, it's not about me. It's about the person that I'm trying to speak to. And don't get caught up in the vanity metrics.
Yes.
How many likes, how many shares? Because I have had so many people email me or message me privately on LinkedIn that aren't actually even connected to me and reach out for help and their clients.
And
Someone is always watching.
yeah. Yeah. I love that
Someone
you
is
said
always
that.
watching.
You know, I always give the example of Ian. My husband's an artist. You can see the painting there behind me. And his biggest commission last year, the year before, was from a lady who had never liked, never commented, never interacted on his page, none of that. You consistently show up, you forget about the whole, you know, sometimes it will give you, you know, you will get an incline. I'm always saying just watch it, you know, like reacting to your videos or whatever like that. But in terms of your bank balance, believe you me, it is not determined by the likes or the comments.
It's not. No. And you're right. Like it's important to keep an eye on it, but don't be consumed. I hear so many people say, "Oh, how many followers do you have?" It doesn't matter how many you have. I'd rather have 10.
Relationship. Go deeper in your relationships with the ideal client rather than be looking for a massive expansion.
I'd rather have 10 and 5 of them buy off me than 500 and they're all liking and sharing my stuff and it's going nowhere.
Yes.
You know, but when you start to speak to the person, to the heart of the person, and you start to make an impact and you get that kind of that buzz, that feel good feeling when you connect, you'll know you're on the right track.
That reminds me of, you know, when clients come back into the academy and they go, I just had a message from somebody asking me, am I in their head? You know, you know, you're hitting the nail on the head when people think she's talking to me. They feel like you are speaking to one because you are.
Yeah.
Speak to one, you will speak to many. Okay, we wrap it up with this. You chose LinkedIn. I get this question a lot. How do I choose platforms? Should I be on all the platforms? Give us your tips around social media and the uses of the different platforms.
So for me, I was on Facebook, still am, but I use it kind of as a secondary. Never really my client basis for Instagram. For me, it was taking up too much time. So that was a big factor because I was doing it myself.
Yeah.
I transitioned over to LinkedIn because mine are the busy professionals and that's where they're at.
Yeah.
So LinkedIn does take time. It's a bit more of a slow burner. It's more investment as in your time, because to get the algorithms going and stuff like that, you need to be commenting, you need to be interacting with people, you need to be messaging, you need to be
social.
You have to be, it's not the same. It's not the same as Facebook.
Okay.
It's a different beast. Facebook is more like is more social.
Yeah.
But for me, where I want to go and the clients that I want to work with are hanging on LinkedIn. And I'm prepared and I understand that to put the time and effort into it. So for me, I spend most of my time on LinkedIn and then I'll transfer it over to Facebook. If I get 1 or 2 inquiries off it, happy days. If I don't, it's not a biggie.
Yeah. So master one. Know your ideal client. When you understand your ideal client, you'll understand which platform they're hanging out on mostly. And that's where you go and learn the skills you need to go in order to use that platform to its max. So if it's Facebook, great, go and learn what you need to learn on Facebook and have a presence elsewhere. If it's LinkedIn, go and understand how that platform works and have a presence elsewhere. So brilliant. I'm delighted now because I get asked that so much. Which platform? I'm trying to be on them all. You know, Buffer I'm using at the moment, which is free, and you can schedule your posts across all platforms. So that way you do have that consistency. So play around with that as well. So that's
and track the data. Track it. Like I know some of the guys some of our guys would track their data, you know, and maybe they're getting more interaction from Insta. And that's because you'll get different people, different strokes for different folks. Depends on what you do, depends on the demographic, all that kind of stuff. So you have to, if you can track the data and actually look at it and say, well, actually that is working or that's not working, then you can make an informed decision.
Yeah.
But if you're just pulling it because no one has liked your post in 3 days, you're not giving it enough. Do you know what I mean? You have to be realistic and give it the time. You know, because like Facebook, like you could have several hundred, and if 10 people see it on a page, and they change it, so like they're quite brutal with their analytics, Facebook compared to LinkedIn.
They have
Whereas LinkedIn make it harder.
pages at the moment, but at the same time, if you only use your personal page, you cannot track data on your personal page. There's no insight. So use your business page, but share it onto your
exactly
into your groups and onto your personal page, because that data is important, guys. It really
it
is.
is.
We do video challenge. People can evidently see the power of video over a graphic and a post.
Totally.
And graphics as well play a huge role in your visibility, in your marketing. So when I see a post and it's just written, I'd be like, oh, you're seriously missing out not putting a graphic in there. So, again, another jigsaw is the Canva. It's, it's learning to use these tools. And I know it sounds like an awful lot, but you can put them together piece by piece and strategically plan it out. That it's not so time consuming, because that work-life balance is important. It's not, it's crucial.
It is, because one, it knocks into the rest.
Yeah.
If you're overtired and anxious and stressed and whatever, and you're not able to serve your clients, then you can't.
No, can't show up with your energy.
So it's the circle, and you're the magic piece. If you are your business.
Well, I think as a small business owner, if you're a personal brand, you absolutely are your business. And people try and say, oh, but you can't take a personal, you need to split. In the beginning, you're everything. And I suppose for some people, the ultimate goal is to have enough money in the bank to hire people to take stuff off your desk when you don't have to do it. I tried that, and I'm taking something back, because I just love to have control of my business. But I've learned that through trial. I do like to have control of my business. So I hope that has been useful. Thank you for watching. If you're watching it on the replay, put any questions you have in the post. Thanks for those. There's, I think 10 or 11 of you watching live. So thank you for joining us live. If you're watching us on YouTube, leave a comment. And we'll see you next week with another fantastic guest. Tony, thank you so much. Thank you so much. So we should say Tony's top challenge was spending that time figuring out who that ideal client was, getting to know them. And then her top tip was to speaking to the ideal client. So speak to one, you'll speak to many. Tony, thanks so much.
No problem. Thank you.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.